This city is known for its preserved Baroque architecture, but we're here for some of the more modern, more sport-based buildings. Here are the stadiums and arenas of Puebla City, Mexico. We start off with the very colourful Estadio Universitario, BUAP, which first opened in the early 90s in an unfinished state. It wasn't until the early 2010s that it became the complete stadium that it is today. When I said it was colourful, I should have specified that I was talking about the exterior. The interior is grey all the way, Jose. The ground has been home to several teams over the years, so I guess it makes sense to have a neutral colour scheme. The university football team used to play in the first tier of Mexican football, but they ceased to exist as a professional franchise in 2019, due to the fact that they were about to head into a new season with only 7 players on the roster. I don't know if they were planning on finding 4 donkeys and putting some jerseys on them, or having the coaching staff lace up their boots. But it clearly wasn't going to end well either way. The university still uses the stadium for amateur sports. Also on the campus of the Benemérita Universidad Autónoma de Puebla is Arena BUAP. Geez, I wonder what BUAP stands for. It has undergone some significant renovations in recent years. The exterior is now looking very shiny, as is the interior. Particularly these unusual metal panels sitting above the seating bowl. I don't know if they serve a purpose other than looks, but it looks alright I suppose. They are kind of reminiscent of those metal studs that you see on the leather jackets of, like, punk rockers. And wannabe punk rockers. To be clear, I don't think those jackets look good, but to each their own. At least you know that no one will dare headbutt you in the shoulder. Because I don't know about you, but I'm always fearful that some random will come up to me on the street and headbutt me in the shoulder. It hasn't happened yet, but it's coming. Estadio de Béisbol Hermano Cerdán. You don't have to speak Mexican to know that Estadio de Béisbol means a large house with a sloping roof. Estadio de Béisbol means baseball stadium. Oh yeah, that makes sense. Unlike the majority of professional ballparks north of the border, this one has perfectly symmetrical dimensions, both in terms of the field and the seating itself. Another aspect that you are less likely to see in the US is the sheer amount of outfield advertising. Okay, the Americans like an ad or two as well, but this is a great wall of advertising. They must look at that all-black batter's eye and see a missed opportunity. Actually, after a renovation, that has been toned down significantly. They also added a new video board in left field, as you can see. There's also new seating, a new facade, new everything basically. It's a rather nice ballpark now. Estadio Cuauhtémoc. These aerial shots are actually way out of date. Much like the ballpark, this stadium has since been given a significant makeover, which not only livened up the place but also included plenty of additional seating. There's now an upper tier at each end. The stadium went from drab to fab, and not in a gay way, actually a slightly gay way. The blue and white shell does of course increase the stadium's curb appeal, but it must also increase the crowd noise in here, because of a phenomenon called reverberation. It's made from an ETFE that is used by NASA apparently. I'm always a bit skeptical when people mention that something is the same one that NASA uses, as some sort of brag, because, the same can be said for a lot of things. In fact, I'm speaking to you right now in the same language used by NASA, breathing in nitrogen and oxygen, which are the same gases used by NASA. This stadium also has an arena next door, one called Gimnasio Miguel Hidalgo, which doesn't quite make the same impression from the outside. It is a Casablanca, a mucho blanca casa. Inside, it's only slightly less bare bones. There's no video board, no baseline seating, certainly no luxury suites or anything like that. So you might be a little surprised to hear that this is the largest indoor sports venue in the city. Yeah, in a city of over 3 million people. Although there is a cultural venue that has a slightly larger capacity. I do kind of like this little arena though. Estadio Olímpico Ignacio Zaragoza. Even if you didn't look at the title card, you may have picked up on the decade in which this was built by looking at the front entrance. It reminds me of when I was a young lad in the 1950s, which is weird because I wasn't alive yet. 90 years before this stadium opened on May 5th, 1862, there was a famous battle taking place on this site. in which the Mexicans defeated the French, who were considered to be the militarily superior force. You may have heard of Cinco de Mayo. Well, this battle is what Cinco de Mayo commemorates. Ignacio Zaragoza, whom the stadium is named after, was the general leading the Mexican army during that battle. Anyway, enough about battles. This is a video about stadiums, so let's talk about the stadium itself. Okay, so, oh, that was rude. Autodromo Miguel Abed. I do have a habit of forgetting about motorsports venues, usually because they are quite far from the city centre, as is the case here. It's like 25 kilometers away from downtown. So the noise pollution can dissipate into the atmosphere without drawing any complaints. It is one of the more prominent Mexican circuits and hosts NASCAR Mexico twice a year, amongst other things. There are about half a dozen or so stands around the track. I'll give a quick mention to the obligatory bull ring, which is nowhere near as large and impressive as some of the others we've seen on the channel before. So there you have it, time to pick a favourite. I was tempted to go with Cinco de Mayo, but it's got to be Estadio Cuauhtemoc. Sometimes plastic surgery can go horribly wrong, but it turned out alright in this instance. Please consider subscribing if you're new around here. It would be an extraordinarily wise, borderline genius decision on your part. Thanks for watching, have a good one.